A service-based business owner and you are looking to gain more clients, create more impact and more revenue in your business, tune in to Amplify Your Marketing Message with Campbell Rapin. Every week, we're going to take you through how to build an audience of buyers, mastering your marketing message, and making offers that convert consistently. We'll see you all on the inside. Building an audience of buyers is a fundamental skill we all need to develop. And making friends with strangers is where it all starts. And that is why many people are using podcast guesting to help them reach new audiences, build know, like, and trust to be able to identify potential buyers. On today's episode of Amplify Your Marketing Message with me, your host, Campbell Rapin, I'm going to be taking you behind the curtain of what we as hosts and platform holders are looking for from guests who pitch us on coming onto our platform. And I will tell you that these strategies that I'm going to gift you, there's going to be 5 of them, are going to not only help you be more effective as being selected as a guest, it will be more effective also for helping you win and earn new business with potential buyers. And so let's jump straight in at the deep end. The first thing I want to call out is to think about your own agenda for the podcast guesting strategy. So often I'm in podcast communities for guests and for hosts where I hear it's all about me. I have got something to say. I want to be on your stage. I want to use your platform. And I will tell you, it is incredibly off-putting as the host. I want you to shift your perspective. The same way I tell my clients, shift your perspective, stop justifying your business. What's in it for the other side? That's the favorite radio station for every host. What's in it for me? We are inundated with people who want to leverage our audience, and we can be very selective in who we choose to be rising to the top and to be selected consistently. We're looking for a couple of things, and it starts with value creation. So I want you to be thinking about, as a guest who is looking to leverage somebody else's stage, podcast, in-person, virtual, or other kind of access to community, what kind of value can you create for the host? And what kind of value can you create for the audience the host is building? And lead with that, because it is the thing that will capture curiosity or turn you into an immediate no. If anybody comes to me with, I've got an agenda, I immediately put you aside. If you come to me saying, I have value to create for you, you've captured my curiosity. And here's a tip. How do you create that value? How do you know you're going to see that good connection? Well, it requires market research. Before you approach a host, I want you to listen to the episodes of the podcast. I want you to review the podcast on a public platform. I want you to engage in social media about episodes, bringing your unique perspective way before you come to me as a host and saying, I want access to your audience. And doing that, I will tell you, yes, it takes work, but it is more important to do high quality work than to do a numbers philosophy, especially if you're a service-based provider, because people do business with people. And it is better to do a few things really highly effectively than to waste time in busy work that does you no long-term ROI. So think actively about creating value and do your research, because that is how you will capture the curiosity as the host. And without curiosity, none of the next steps matter, because you are simply out of consideration right out of the gate. The second thing that is important when you are in a collaborative environment is to think about, what can we do together to grow the ripple, to create a shared experience and to expand both of our audiences. This is a win-win mentality you must adopt, which means I am hoping, if you're going to guest as a strategy, that you're going to be a good partner. And that means promote the episode. And promote the episode can be a lot of different things. And here's a really great way to leave a long, great first impression is to do it not just once, not just the week it airs. I want you to be thinking about using this collaborative asset to benefit your business long term. Podcasting is a long term strategy. It is not about immediate client growth. And sometimes I think people jump into guesting thinking it's about building a client right away. It's not. Okay. It's just really not. It is about accelerating the know, like, and trust factor, both within the peer community, which is the guest and the host, but also with other audience members who then might be curious to take movement, but they're not yet ready to buy. They're not buyers yet. And if they are buyers at all from day one, chances are they're buyers of the host. And you don't want to steal business from the host. It just never starts a good relationship from that way. But I want you to be thinking about promotion. So myself, when I'm a guest on somebody else's platform, I promote to my email list. I promote on my social media. I promote to other people in my network. I use the asset of this co-collaborative episode and I publish it on my website. Particularly, I have a media tab. And that's really important because it brings long-term SEO value to the host. And I know that that matters. External links can be hugely valuable. So I use them to help the host. And I know what they will see as value. If you don't have a large ecosystem currently, and that's why you're thinking you want to guest to build that audience, that's okay. But then remember, as your audience grows, go back to this episode and think about this as a long-term strategy. I love when guests come onto this platform and I see months and even years later, this episode comes up because this is a long-term strategy. And so here's a hint just around your topics. Pick a topic that you're going to be as proud talking about today and as relevant today as it will be 6 months from now, a year from now, maybe even 5 years from now, because episodes in the world of podcasting have a very long shelf life. And you want to be sure that what you talk about, you truly believe and you bring a unique perspective on. And that way you are sure you're going to want to continue to promote and re-promote that episode so that you collectively share the win together. And that's strategy number 2. Strategy number 3 to be a great guest and to see more guest invitations is to focus on the relationship with the host. And that relationship needs to be viewed as a long-term relationship, not a hit and run, a long-term partnership. And so I want to have you building those relationships before you make your pitch. Engage, find them on social media, do your research, think about how you can give a great experience during the recording. How can you build the relationship and the long tail spin by promoting the episode post the airing of it? And then think about how can you continue to support the host to create value for them. And that could be simple things like referring other guests. It could be introducing referral partners. If you guys are in sequence with each other and you can create more through co-creation, I want you to lean in, ask about potential collaborative partnerships, joint venture, revenue shares, and other long-term partnership strategies. In my own experience as a guest, I will tell you, I am very blessed to have new doors open because of the relationships I built with hosts and people who own platforms. From podcasts to then running challenges with them to being invited and referred into new rooms I couldn't have had access to any other way. If you are not thinking about this as a long-term partnership, you're missing a huge opportunity. That is why, particularly for myself in the way I run this podcast, I don't let anybody onto the platform who I'm not really proud to have in my network. And before we ever agree to have you here on the platform as a guest, I want to interview you. I want to have a conversation. I want to make sure our values are in alignment and that I'm going to be very active about referring you because I'm going to be promoting our shared episode for years. And if I'm not certain I want to share space, I simply never make that invitation. And so strategy number 3 is about the importance of building the relationship from the pre-approach to the delivery of the recording to well beyond the air date. People who have platforms create long-term value. And if you are a great partner, you will have access to doors you don't even know could open for you. So lean in first as a human being and give generously before you think about what's in it for me. The fourth strategy I want to talk about is how important it is to have an opinion and to use your unique so what factor on the topic you want to think about. One of the mistakes I see time and time again, I see it in corporate marketing, I see it in business marketing, and I see it certainly in the guest community platforms I belong to, is you use words that are broad stroke. I want to talk about entrepreneurship. I want to talk about purpose. I want to talk about SEO. And in my head, as a host, I'm thinking you and a million other people. Next. If you want to stand out from the sea of sameness, I want you to cannonball into the deep end like I tell my clients when we ask the 3 so what questions as part of our whole work together in the mentorship program is what's in it for them? What's the unique so what factor that brings unique context to the conversation? What do you stand for? So I want you to be shifting how you approach a guest host opportunity by thinking about my so what factor creates value in this way. This is how I can add unique conversation. And here's something, a personal tip from me is when I go in to be a guest and I've already shared my unique perspective to be invited as the guest, I ask before we ever record, what has been the recent conversation that I may not have seen aired yet that I can tie into to create the most amount of impact for you so that I can add congruency because that makes me a very great guest. I want you to take that tip and apply it to your business. So tip number 4 is to be sure you have a unique perspective. Hosts are looking for thought leaders to own their perspective, to walk their talk, and to show the so what factor of how that will create value for the audience that you are collectively serving. My final and 5th tip is to be professional. And it slightly makes my hackles rise that I have to state that as number 5, because it should be a given that you show up on time, that you're prepared to have the conversation, that you've got lighting, audio, and a professional environment that reflects your very best brand, whatever that branding is. And yet I will tell you, I cannot tell you how many times I've had, even when we've had a very thorough onboarding, guests who show up unprepared. Or for guests to constantly want to reschedule the commitment I have made in my calendar to be recording with them. Don't be that guest because we do chat as hosts. And I want to respect your time as a host. I want to shine and make this episode a great asset for you. And I hope that you will respect my time and serve at the very highest level to my audience and to the value that I might be seeking as the host. So being professional is such an important thing. I want you to be really thinking about the environment. There's some great episodes here in our podcast that talk about your virtual space. Go find them. We talked about wardrobe. We talked about virtual backgrounds or real backgrounds. We talked about the need to own your 7-star brand experience. So those are 5 things. Let's recap where they are. As a business owner looking to create more impact, building an audience of buyers is key. Every month you need to be reaching new people in order to see consistent client growth. This isn't a once in a while exercise. This is an evergreen need for your business to fuel stable cash flow. That means going to make friends with strangers. And yes, you could have 1,000 conversations one-to-one. I don't know why you'd want to, but you could. Or you could leverage other faster growth strategies, and speaking is one of them, particularly podcast speaking. But if you're going to leverage somebody else's audiences, I want you to approach it differently. I want you to approach it in the following 5 ways so that you not only see more momentum for yourself, but you also see more momentum from the experience. Here they are. Number 1, I want you to create value. What's in it for the host? What's in it for the audience? That's your lead entry to spark curiosity with the host. Without that, you will not get through the door. From there, I want you to be a good partner. I want you to promote the episode. I want you to really think about that not just as an immediate win, but a long-term continuation of co-collaboration. I want you to build the relationship from pre-event, research, review, refer, deliver what you said you would do in the promotion, and open doors for each other. What you do today could have very big ripples, especially in the podcasting space. As you think about your topics, choose topics that you're going to be as passionate about speaking about today and as relevant today as they will be in 6 months or 12 months or 2 years or 5. And if you're going to pitch anybody, you need to bring a unique perspective and you need to own it. That unique perspective needs to be congruently showing up in your message so that you amplify it in the podcast collaboration. What makes your voice unique? Think about it like a toddler. So what? You want to talk about leadership? What about leadership? Why does that matter? What will that do for my audience? Come with those answers prepared, because clarity will lead you to the acceleration of a yes. And finally, show up as a professional. Put your very best foot forward. Curate the environment you're in. Curate your brand image and ensure you're going to be as proud of that episode today as you will be in 2 years. Recognizing your polish, your delivery, your style could flex. It's important for your clients to see the evolution, but start strong. And now that I'm thinking about it, I have a bonus one for you. And here's a tip. This is a marketing tip. When the host, as most hosts will do, invite you to share how does the audience connect with you, I want you to remember that a confused mind will never buy. Most people are listening to podcasts as audio, even though video is growing. They're not sitting in front of a computer to write down 12 things. So don't give them 12 places to find you. You should have one destination. And that destination should be easy to hear, remember, and find. It should be your website. And even in the case with mine, with a last name that might be a little unfamiliar, that's why I always ensure if I'm doing audio and show notes that my name is spelled out, and many times I will spell it phonetically and out loud to people. ChristineCampbellRapin.com. That's the destination you want to be sending people. Not, you can find me on Instagram at handle X. You can find me on LinkedIn at handle Y. You can find me on YouTube at XYZ. You can find me at TikTok over here. My email address is this, and oh, by the way, I have a website. You want one ecosystem, and it should be one that you control. Because remember that podcasting is a long tail strategy. You shouldn't be giving out social media platforms that you might not be in 6 months or a year for some destined reasons and for some unexpected ones. But if you own a domain and you show up with a professional domain, one, you look polished. That goes back to step number 5. But 2, you always know that they can find you. It never ages. And that's a really big benefit. It also simplifies it, and we're going to keep things simple so that people take action. So final recap of the day is, of course, where do you find myself? ChristineCampbellRapin.com. Look forward to connecting with you there. And yes, on your website, you can then proliferate your social media, but always control it and make it one place. Guesting can be an incredibly effective strategy. It's also a ton of fun. It's one of the main things I use in my business. And it can be a highly lucrative strategy. But remember that hosts have choices. So do your potential buyers. I want you to stand out from the sea of sameness. I believe you will do that when you implement these 5 things, plus the bonus. Good luck. I hope to see you on the podcast platform. I hope this has been a valuable episode. Share this with somebody you know who uses speaking as a strategy. Let's help each other create more impact so that together we can amplify our marketing message, create more buyers, make more revenue, and see more impact. We'll see you all on our next episode. That's a wrap on another amazing episode of Amplify Your Marketing Message with me, your host, Christine Campbell Rapin. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so you don't miss another great episode. And be sure to visit christinecampbellrapin.com/podcast to get a free resource on how to master your marketing message. We'll see you all on our next episode.